Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today's Saturday and it's September the 2nd, 2022. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to extend to you a warm welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a return viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. You know, I always say the tide changes so frequently here on these YouTube streets. So you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know, I sincerely thank you for your support. Feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And our story today takes us to Benson, North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, Sunday school teacher found guilty of raping girls at Benson Church, sentenced to 87 years in prison. I'll provide you with a summary here, and as always, I'll place links to a few of the full articles in the description box. You know, someone recently asked me a few questions regarding my social media platform. And it did hurt my feelings a bit. They wanted to know, why is it I've been on social media, but my subscriber count is not growing? They pointed out that my platform seemed to be at a stagnated point, and maybe it was time for me to begin some restructuring and at least to consider changing my content. They also wanted to know why I spent so much time focusing on child sex abuse. And my response was simple. This is not a job, it's a hobby. And if it's meant for me to have thousands of subscribers, well, maybe one day I will. But I focus on child sex abuse cases because there's so much of it taking place, and survivors need to have a voice. And nothing gives me more satisfaction than covering a case where the victim has the opportunity to tell his or her story, and when someone is found guilty and given a lengthy prison sentence. That's why I do it, and I offer no apologies for that. Maybe I have not yet been discovered, so I'll just wait until it's my turn, but in the meantime, it's business as usual. And this is a follow-up to a story that I brought you about 2 years ago, and it has to do with Jonathan Young, 38-year-old, a former Sunday school teacher, and he was facing multiple child sex charges, and it was alleged he abused many of the young girls in his role as a Sunday school teacher. Now, back when the charges were filed, it was alleged that sexual abuse took place at Firstborn Baptist Church, which is a church that was pastored by Young's great uncle, and who at that time referred to Young as a model employee. It was also alleged that the sexual abuse of children in the church had been reported to the church leadership for years and ignored by those in charge. It was further alleged that the abuse took place in the basement of the church, and victims were threatened with abuse to themselves and their family if they spoke up. Some sexual abuse also took place in school buses while on church-related outings. Now, back then, when the charges were filed, Jonathan Young was indicted by a grand jury on 13 counts. 13 charges, 6 counts of RAPE of a child, 3 counts of statutory RAPE, other counts such as indecent liberties with a child. Some of the victims were very young when the abuse took place. One victim recently spoke to the media and stated that her sexual abuse began when she was 9 years old, and back at that time he was given a $1 million bond. And after what seemed to be a lifetime of waiting for justice, Jonathan Young finally faced a jury of his peers. One victim also found the courage to testify and share what happened to her, and she also spoke about the psychological scars she's had to live with for years. She told the media in her case it was touching and rubbing and grinding in that basement with verbal threats to herself and to her family if she spoke out about it. And the jury found Jonathan Young guilty of multiple counts of RAPE, sexual offenses, and indecent liberties with children. The judge then sentenced him to more than 87 years in federal prison. 87 years is the minimum time he will have to serve in prison. And essentially, the judge handed him a life sentence because he would be 125 years old when his sentence ends. Now, after the sentencing, a media source asked one of the victims if she had, what would she say to Young now? She said, he's getting what he deserves. I would tell him I do not forgive him. I do not owe him anything. He owes me everything. He took my entire childhood and most of my teenage years away from me. He took all of that. I know I'll never get it. She was saying she'll never get it back. I hope he dies in prison. And then the district attorney also issued a statement. The district attorney's office issued a statement, and it says, "Our hearts go out to the brave survivors who had the courage to disclose and testify in this case. Everyone in our community owes them a debt of gratitude. Their courage in the face of such harsh judgment and the scrutiny was amazing as an example of true heroism." And I totally agree. It took a lot of courage to come forward and tell their story. And so, one more predator is off the streets, never to experience life as a free man. And I can't say it's a chapter closed because there's always a possibility there may be other victims out there who just have decided not to, for whatever reason, not to come forward. And I should mention that the leadership at Firstborn Baptist Church, they were contacted for their comments regarding this sentence of 87 years being handed down to their employee, but there was no response. But there's no need to be embarrassed now. He was a member of the family. He was an employee. He did something horrible. He's being brought to justice. Provide a statement. Provide closure. And I bet the leadership might probably be concerned about Young's action and the possibility of them being sued. That's always a possibility. And I have to tell you, this is what I talk about. This is why I talk about these cases, because there's so many Jonathan Youngs out there and they have not yet been brought to justice. And maybe just by seeing this video and finding out that there are victims who did receive justice in this case, by seeing the person who will victimize them go to jail for the rest of their life, maybe, just maybe, someone else will find the courage to speak up. You don't have to continue to keep your abuse a secret, and you no longer have to continue to suffer in silence. Speak up. Tell your story. Tell someone. And maybe your actions could prevent harm to another individual. Remember, in the state of North Carolina, there's no statute of limitation for sex abuse. Find the courage to speak up and seek your justice. And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks just like this one here, it's the notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.